In this video, we're going to reveal the 6 types of photos that are guaranteed to get you more matches on dating apps. Let's start off with a really easy one, a dog photo. You might think like, oh, these are overdone, but according to famous OkCupid study, it shows that dog photos are by far the most effective type of photo, right? This is literally like chick crack. Now, a lot of guys have a limiting belief. They think like, well, I don't own a dog, so therefore I can't have a dog photo, right? But again, this is just nonsense. You can go to a dog park and plenty of dog owners will be happy to let you take a photo with their dog. You can ask one of your friends who has a dog. You can ask one of your acquaintances. There's got to be someone in your life who has a dog, right? And there's nothing wrong with using those photos. There's at least several dozen guys who have a photo of Rhaegar in their Tinder profile and they don't own Siberian Husky. I've never once heard them say that's an issue. Worst case scenario, you can say, oh, it's my friend's dog, which is probably going to be at least partially true. Now let's take a look at some good examples. Take a look at this one. I mean, this is just perfect. 10 out of 10 dog photo. Now, I think the common mistake I've seen dog photos is the dog looks miserable. The dog looks like it's literally about to kill itself. But here the dog looks very happy. The guy looks like he's looking good in this photo. They're shaking hands, right? It looks very natural. Both parties look good. This is an awesome dog photo, and this could be his main photo. This will do really, really well. Here's another example. Now, this is not quite as good, but still pretty decent. The only downside to this one is the dog doesn't look super excited like in the last picture, but the dog doesn't look depressed to be in the photo either, so I think it's totally fine. And remember, in a dog photo, you want the dog to look good, and you want the human to look good, because hopefully the girl's looking for the human, right? But again, if the dog looks miserable, then it's probably not gonna work out that great. Now, let's move on to the next type of photo. This is going to be an airplane / helicopter photo. Now, again, you might be thinking like, dude, like I don't have $1 million, I don't have a private plane. How can I get this? Well, there are workarounds. So for a helicopter photo, what you could do is just rent one with like 6 or 7 of your friends. It's not as expensive as you think. It'll come out to like $250 per person, and then you can just all get really, really good photos, right? That's definitely something that's an option. So take a look at this one. I mean, this looks super boss, looks authentic. It looks like he actually just got off this helicopter that he flew himself and is now going to some business meeting or something like that, right? This is a great photo, like an awesome helicopter photo. Here we have another one. This is a little bit different because he's actually in the air. I think these ones might be a little bit better simply because there's no way you can really fake this. Now, of course, you know, you would have to get a helicopter tour unless you have a friend who owns a helicopter, which is unlikely, but those are not as expensive as you might think, right? You can get one for probably $1,000, you know, depending where you are. So again, so those are a bit pricey, but they're not super duper out of reach for most people. And here we have an airplane photo. So these are actually even easier than helicopter photos. There are these things called private airfields. So this is where Indian PE and a lot of guys have gone. It's about 2 hours away from Miami, and it's just a private airfield. There's no, you know, no people, no TSA or whatever, right? You can just kind of walk around as long as you're not causing trouble and take photos next to the airplanes, right? They've done it millions of times. It's never been an issue. So I don't know if this guy did the same thing here, but again, private airfields exist everywhere. And yeah, it just looks like a good photo. It looks like he just got off his private plane, right? Or at the very least, like a private plane that he flew on. And now he's just walking, you know, looks natural, looks authentic. He looks good. Everything's on point for this photo. And here we have one of Indian P. Now this is a classic right here. This is an amazing airplane photo. Again, this happened in a private airfield. So while you may think that, oh, these are like super expensive, I need to have a private plane, it doesn't matter. And what I said previously about dog photos applies. No girl's gonna give a shit they don't own a private plane, okay? No one cares, right? If you just say like, oh yeah, it was my friends or whatever, no one's gonna give a shit. So again, don't have a limiting mindset when it comes to this. Now let's move on to one that's probably even more easily accessible. It's a suit photo. And look, if you're so broke you can't afford a suit and you don't have any friends who have a suit, you can literally go to some stores, you can buy one, then you can return it later. Personally, I don't recommend that because I think you can get a good suit for like $200, which is not the end of the world. But if you're so broke, then that could be an option, right? That's something you could do. So here's a great suit photo. I mean, everything's just on point. He looks like, you know, it looks pretty natural. I would say it's a little bit posed because he's looking directly at the camera, but he looks good in the photo. The suit looks good, so I would say he can get away with it. Here's what I think is a better suit photo. Like this is probably more ideal, simply because it looks a lot more natural. Looks like he was just having a drink out with friends. The only thing that would be better if there was people in the background. But other than that, I think this is a great suit photo. And here's one last one. This is Indian P. Like, yeah, like this looks really, really solid, right? And again, what did he do here? He just put on a suit. He went to the mall and he had one of our photographer friends take a photo of him. And that was essentially it, right? But this photo came out great. So this was perfect. That's exactly what you want for suit photos. Let's move on to the next category, boat photos, right? Again, you might be thinking like, dude, some of these concepts are pretty hard, but if the concepts weren't hard, then everyone would have these photos. And if everyone had these photos, they would be less effective. But again, there's workarounds for, anyone who wants to get these types of photos. So for the boat photo, there's two options at your disposal. Number one is you could network and find someone who has a boat or rent one out. They're not as expensive as you might think. I rented a boat out for my mom's birthday. It was about $2,000, and it was a really big boat. You can get a smaller one for about $1,000. If you split that 6 ways with a bunch of friends, right? That's not that expensive. It comes out to about $150, $200 per person, right? And then you can get a bunch of these dope photos. So again, as long as the boat is not that big, you can get it for like $1,000, $1,200, maybe $1,500 at most. Again, this looks a good photo, looks natural, looks like he's just chilling on his own boat. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Here's another great one. Looks like he's walking on the boat, kind of like he's like looking over things, make sure everything's on point. Also good. Now, if you're going to do a boat photo, make sure you're dressed relatively nice. You don't have to be wearing a suit, but if you're wearing like fucking like sweatpants and like a wife beater, right? That's not going to be really congruent to you being on a boat. So make sure you have good photos like that. But yeah, again, these photos are pretty easily accessible. The other option, if you want to go a little bit more ghetto with it, is you can just basically walk around on a boat and just get some photos really quick. Now, personally, I don't recommend that because it's technically trespassing, but that is something that guys have done and has worked out. But again, not something I would personally endorse. Next, we have a shirtless photo. You might think like, dude, these are try hard, these are douchey, but you're gonna be wrong. Shirtless photos work really well if you're in good shape, right? Don't try these unless you actually have, let's just say, single digits body fat, or at least like at most 11 and 12%. You need to be in good shape. You need to have a six-pack. So you need to have a body. You don't have to be a bodybuilder, but you should be in good shape. So here's one. And again, what I really like about this is it shows off his body. Well, that's what the girls are gonna like. And also the fact that it looks very natural. It just looks like he's chilling, putting on his shirt, and someone just kind of snuck out of nowhere and took a photo of him. So this is a great shirtless photo. Here's another one, I believe of the same guy. Again, chilling in a pool, playing volleyball. These are all places where it would be natural for you to have your shirt off, right? So these are all good places where you can get a natural looking shirtless photo. And here's one of me, this I took on my old balcony 3 buildings ago. And yeah, again, also looks pretty natural. I was working out, I legitimately was at the time. And then I asked one of my friends to take a photo of me, right? Because I had finished working out, or I was on the verge of finishing, right? I had a nice pump. And that's another little pro tip when you're gonna do a shirtless photo. Always make sure you do like 40 push-ups, do a bunch of ab crunches, right? Just get a little bit of a pump on, and that's gonna make you look 30-40% bigger. It's actually much more effective than you think. And also don't eat that day, and ideally stop eating the night before, and you're gonna be a lot more lean if that's something that you struggle with. So yeah, good photo. The only thing that's not optimal is my pants. They're a little kind of, I don't know, decrepit, let's just say, but everything else on point. Looks like I'm just chilling. I was about to work out. I saw something, and Rhaegar, of course, is keeping me company. So sometimes you can combine both of these concepts. You combine dog photo with another type of photo, right? So this is good. And last up on the list, we have motorcycle photos. So these are really great because they show that you're kind of a bad boy, right? And girls just have this primal desire for guys who are bad boys, right? The fact you ride a motorcycle, it's like, damn, this guy's daring. This guy has some balls. Not 100% of girls are gonna be into it, but I don't think there's many girls who are gonna be turned off by it, and there's a good amount of girls who are gonna be turned on by it. So motorcycle photos are great. And again, you might be thinking, but Alex, I don't have a motorcycle. What do I do? So I personally don't have a motorcycle either. So there's multiple things you can do. You can ask one of your friends who has a motorcycle. There's gotta be someone you know who has one. Me personally, actually, my Kava delivery driver, who I was pretty friendly with, was dropping off some kava for me, and he had a badass motorcycle, and I was like, hey man, can I take a photo on your motorcycle? And he's like, yeah, no problem, right? So there's many things you can do. You can even rent a motorcycle if you don't have anyone that you know. This photo is good, looks pretty natural. Again, the key thing with this photo is that you look good and the photo looks natural. Here's another good example. Probably not quite as good as the previous one, simply because it looks a little bit more posed, but still a good photo. And also another thing is for motorcycles, you don't want to have, like, at least in my opinion, these like old school American chopper type of bikes like Harley Davidsons or whatever. I think the Japanese bikes, kind of the ones that are like, a little bit more sporty, tend to perform better, right? It seems that mostly dudes are into like these old school Harley bikes, and it seems that girls prefer, kind of the more modern bike that's a little bit more sporty, right? So that's just a pro tip. At the end of the day, it's not gonna make that much of a big difference. But yeah, if you can get these 6 types of photos, you're gonna be crushing it on dating apps. All right, hope you guys found this video valuable, and if you want to learn more about photos as well as the other important elements of being successful on Tinder, like writing the kind of bio that makes you stand out and gets girls to message you, or text game the thing that's going to take all those matches you're going to be getting, converting them into dates, then check out our free Tinder ebook. Link is going to be in description. Make sure you check that out because it's 100% free. Also, I want to give a big shout out to Justin Harder, who provided the vast majority of photos for this video. He really is an amazing photographer. If you want to learn more about his work or get a consultation with him, then check out his Instagram. Link is also going to be in description. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.